Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Daf Peiches on the base as we begin our quest to the end of the Masechta. Today's discussion is rumors, what we call in Judaism a koil, a voice, literally. Now, when we think of a rumor, we think of something that's unsubstantiated. It starts somewhere, but we don't have much to go on. Classic example: when I sold my house 5 years ago, I've met multiple people and say, "You're still here." I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, we heard that you retired and moved to Israel." This rumor was, again, Benji, we heard it. It's amazing how many people. So I went into my classroom and I said, by a show of hands, how many people heard that I'm retired and moving to Israel? More than half the class raised their hands. More than half the class. The rumor never died. It never died. It started, it never died. But clearly, there was nothing to it. No one ever said it. I know the rumor started with me. I sold my house, but that's not the rumor that we're discussing. The rumor that we're discussing has some sort of substantiation, and the question is, to what extent do we believe it or not? And that's today's daf, okay? And it's really the sugi of rumors. So says the Mishnah, with that hakdama, Yotza Shma Be'ir, a Shma goes out, we'll call that a rumor, that Mikudeshes, that this girl is Mikudeshes. That's the rumor that she's Mikudeshes, a single girl, and the call goes out that she's Mikudeshes, and the key is that she got engaged this day, she got married this day, Harizu Mikudeshes, right? She's Mikudeshes, and therefore she can't marry somebody else without a get. And as we're going to see, there has to be mitigating circumstances behind this rumor, not just enough that, oh, this girl is engaged, like we call it, engagement Judaism-wise. So she would need a get. Migureshes, if a call goes out that she's divorced, and the Havamina is she's married to a Kayin and she's divorced, Harizu Migureshes, and she would go ahead and not be able to live with her husband anymore. The Gemara is going to ask a very strong question, fellas. Just because a rumor, we're going to take away an Eshes from her husband? Again, this woman has a cheskes Eshes. We know she was married. That's a given. We know she's married. That's a given. And now a rumor starts. You're going to say she's asked to live with her husband based upon a rumor? That's going to be Gemara's question. But again, I think it gives us an understanding, a basis for what a rumor is, and to what extent the power of it is. And l'chor, it's very powerful. If she's a pnuya, she needs a get from this particular individual that she got engaged to this day. And if she's mugureshes, based on pshat, that she would not be able to live with her husband anymore. So obviously, this is more than rumor that Rabbi Stern retired and go to Israel. There has to be something behind it. I think it gives it a very nice framework of understanding the sugya. Now, this rumor is a rumor to affect a need for a get or a need for or to leave one's husband, is only when it does not have something that mitigates it. So, for example, Ezi Amasla, Girishish Ploinias Ishtayal Tanai. Someone divorced his wife on a condition. So maybe the condition won't be fulfilled. So in the rumor itself, we have the anti-rumor. Right? We have the thing that breaks the rumor. In the rumor itself, we have something that would go ahead and break the rumor. So in that case, we will not say she is divorced, because we'll say maybe the divorce never took place. What about the rumor of Kiddushin? Kiddushin, Safik Karavla, Safik Karavla. The rumor is that she accepted Kiddushin, but it was a Safik when the person threw the Kesef or the Shtar Kiddushin, whether it landed in proximity closer to him or closer to her. Again, this is a discussion we've had many times. So two dinim in the Mishnah. Let's go over the Mishnah again. There's a girl is a single girl. She's a chazaka of being a single girl. A rumor goes out, a call goes out that she got engaged today, meaning engagement, we mean Kiddushin, to a certain individual. She will not be able to go ahead and leave that individual. She will not be able to go, she needed a divorce from that individual. Rumor goes out that she was married to a kohen and got a divorce, she'll be divorced. However, if there's something that goes ahead and mitigates the divorce or the marriage, the rumor, and that a mitigating circumstances is called in Judaism a masla, Lashon Gemara a masla, then we don't believe the rumor because we'll say it wasn't fulfilled. In other words, there wasn't vaday she was divorced; it was on a Tanai. It wasn't the vaday mishkudeshes; it was a suffix. Then with that, it will break the coil and will not require a get from or leaving one's husband. Furthermore, Akasha, and we're going on the case of where the rumor goes out that she's divorced, she cannot leave with her husband the kohen anymore. We're going to go ahead and put the word like kohen in there. Can a rumor go ahead? And again, this is just a rumor. Can a rumor go ahead and some way, somehow take her off the chazaka v'eseshish that she can't go ahead and marry her, stay with her husband? It's only a rumor. It says Rav Ashi, kol kala the bus and the suin. Any rumor that comes out after the suin, the state of marriage when they're living together, we don't go ahead and take into consideration the rumor. So why would it be necessary? How can the Mishnah say that what she is megureshes once she's in the state of kedushin, meaning the suin, then we will not go ahead and believe the rumor. It says hachi come out. Here's the way you have to read the Mishnah. Ein achinami. If she's married and a call goes out that she was divorced, we're not going to believe it. What's the divorce over here? This is a rumor, a double rumor. Yotza shma be'er mikudeshes, harizu mikudeshes. A single girl, rumor goes out, she's married. Mikudeshes umigureshes. However, if it's a rumor that she was mikudeshes, and in addition to that was migureshes, harizu mikureshes. In other words, it's not two separate cases. It's not two separate cases like we learned in the Mishnah, case of Kedushin and case of Gerushin. It's not two separate Mishnahs. It's one Mishnah. In a case where there's Kedushin, a rumor of Kedushin, and in the same rumor there's rumors of Gerushin, we will believe the rumor of Gerushin. But if she's Necheskas Nesuin, that she's married, and a rumor goes out that she's divorced, we will not go ahead and believe the Koil Keneged, the Chazaka of Eishesish. My timer. Why do we believe that she is divorced? Mikudeshes and Megureshes. Amid Aleph, at the top of Amid Aleph, Avi, we have Koil v'Shoivrei Imai. We have the Koil, we have the rumor, and it's a masla with it. We have it's breaking with it. The Koil is she's married, but in the same rumor that she's married, we have a Koil that she's divorced. And therefore, okay. So again, a quick summary. We're doing the sugya of koil, of rumors. Again, as we're going to see from this daf, the rumor has to have some support by circumstances. It's not enough just, again, when we speak about rumors, our rumors are totally unsubstantiated. By and large, right? Unless you know something. But these rumors, as we're going to see, are substantiated. If you have a rumor of kedushin, she's mukudeshes. If you have a rumor of Mugureshes, she's not Mugureshes. Guys, here's the key. If she has a rumor of Mugureshes and it's from the Suin, we're not going to believe it. If, however, you have a rumor of Kedushin and in the same rumor you have Mugureshes, you believe because you have the Amasla, the breaking of the Kedushin with the Gerushin. That's what we're holding now. Amar Rava, says Rava, Yotzela Shem Mizana Be'er. Now, this is a Penuya, and you have a shame that she was Mizana. She was with a koye. She was with a goy, or she was with a one of the psulim and a sin, a mamzer, whose bia would go ahead and make her asa to a kohen, right? Whose bia would make her what asa to a kohen. Ein chayshnu. We don't consider the rumor. My timer, pritzusa ba'almahu dechazile. In other words, we saw this rumor, this girl acting in a, how should we say, a flirtatious way with a guy, and or an eved, and he pushed up against her, or he was talking to her, and she was flirting with him. It says pritzis ba'alma, but we're not going to say that in fact that an act of bia happened just based upon seeing that. You need something more than that. Kitanoi, as this like machlokas tanoim, achla b'shuk. This is a very severe sheet. You see a woman eating in the street. Girgura b'shuk, she's walking around the street with her head held up high like a balas gaiva, drawing attention to herself. Heinika b'shuk, she's even nursing a child in the street. There's such a woman, the husband could divorce her. He should divorce her because we will be suspicious that maybe she was an adulteress as well. Right? You know what? We spoke about these women. We had it in Daf Yomi and Masef Saita. These women, they're sitting there, they're yentering away, sitting and schmoozing. You hear the latest gossip. So if the gossip turns to a woman, it was Mizana, then that coil will substantiate. That is exactly, and then Teitzei. That's Rabbi Akiva Shita. Amalei Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Now, this is not going to wash. And Cain, if you're telling me you're going to go ahead and take a woman away from her husband based upon Yentis, you won't find what a daughter of Avram Avinu who could possibly go ahead and be sitting underneath the husband. But in other words, if you want to mess up a woman really bad, just start a rumor, have the woman schmooze, and boom, right? So that's not going to do it. In order to go ahead and leave your husband based upon such a rumor, you need Adis. It says by Gerishin, a person's going to go ahead and divorce his wife. We're going to see this more in tomorrow's daf. Earlier it said through two witnesses and make a Gzereshava. Just over there, it had to be a clear matter of Adis. Avkan Dava Barer, it has to be clear matter. And this is who Rabbi holds like. Rabbi holds like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. In other words, the ones who said that the Rabbi said we're never going to be chayish for a priestess as that, because why? That's not a dova borer that something took place. An act of priestess took place, but an act of snus took place. Ain't choishin law. That's pshat. Going back to the second line of the Gemara, Amar Rava Yatz is law shem zana be'ir in choishin law, because it's Maisa priestess Alma, and I hold in order to go ahead and aser on the husband, Teitzei, it would have to be that Kimotza Ervatz Dava Ki Apishnai Nedim Yatzim Dava, like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. So Rav is Machlokes Tanoim, and Rav has Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri to support. Pan Rabbanon, a bunch of suspicions that we're not going to be suspicious of. This girl is a Basula, and Beula in Choshenla. Now Rashi learns that now the call goes out that she's a Beula. So she was with a person that would not be render her asa. She was with a Jew, so that would render asa as a zoina, but she wouldn't be a psula. She wouldn't be able to marry a kohen gadol, right? To marry a kohen gadol. Taisus and the shem Rabbi Yitzchak, the second Taisus down in the middle. Rabbi Yitzchak came the stam beila this nus shem yedu mi psula lekahuna. Right? He becheskas beul and sin lemamza at shetavi raya. He said no, this would be what. Taka asa to a kohen, not a kohen gadol, would even asa to a kohen, because stam is like the person she was with was an unsavory character of the sin and mamzaris fame. Nesua in choishin law. If we say that a pnuya, a call goes out that she was in a suya, right? And we thought she was what? She was a pnuya, arusa, or a call goes out that she's an arusa in choishin law. Why do you have to tell me arusa? And why do you have to tell me nesua? Look at Taisus. Arusa in choishin law. Loimi boy nesua. Dem emes hayadav hay misfarsem. Not only nesua that it would have been mefarsem, fellas. Nesua you was accompanied by the ceremony. In other words, kiddushin would be like we have a l'chaim, right? You go ahead, you announce an engagement. It's very quiet. Nesuin is a wedding, guys. Nesuin is a wedding with a chuppah. So in other words, so no, you don't even tell me that Nesuin, we would go ahead and do away with the rumor. Why? Because if the rumor was true, we would have had proof to it. There would have been invitations sent out. There would have been a band sent out. Mashenkein Arusa, which is what is more clandestine, quietly. Maybe you say you should be chayish for Kemash Malonda, what you're not. So that's the chiddush about Lomi boy Nesua, but I feel Arusa, where there's more of a suspicion that maybe it's true. Shaloi Leploni, she's a rumor that the coil that she was, look at Rashi, Shaloi Leploni, Yatzala coil, Shekudesh Sayim, Avalo Yeskiru Shmoi, Lomi Leploni. She's engaged today, but it doesn't mention the nay. El Niskach Stam Ein Choishin La. In our Mishnah, fellas, we said the case. What was the case? A rumor goes out that she got engaged on Sunday to Chayim. You had information, a date and a person. What happens if you just have a date, but you don't have a person? Ain't Choishin La. We're not going to be Chayish. You wouldn't. In other words, she would not need a get from Chayim. In our Mishnah, guys, what was the case? the shmur goes out that what she was engaged on Sunday to Chaim. We would need to get from Chaim. As we'll see, there's more mitigating circumstances. However, over here, the rumor has no bite to it. Why? Because we don't know the person. So this one, in other words, I'm trying to tell you the difference between this Gemara and our Mishnah. Our Mishnah where we're chayish for the rumor, and this one not, because over here we don't have a person. So therefore, we have the way you read the Gemara is there's a rumor that she's mekudeshes, aval shaloi leploini. We do not know to who. Ein chayshin la. Be'ir acheres. If a rumor goes out, be'ir acheres, ein chayshin la. And then we're not chayish for it. In order for a rumor to be true, it has to have some credibility. You have to be able to prove it. If it takes place in another city, again, this is the time before social media. The world was a lot farther then, and therefore it will be harder to prove. Since it's harder to prove, then what? Ein chayshin la. Mamzeres, the rumor goes out, she's mamzeres, shivcha, she's shivcha, ein chayshin la in both cases. Higdish Pliny nechasav. Pliny he sanctified his property. Hefka Pliny nechasav. Ein chayshin lahem. All these rumors were not chayish for. Amaula loishashamu. Now, this is going back on all rumors. This is, in other words, this is defining to us a rumor. This is very important. Again, I say the lashon rumor. Going back to my hakdama to the shir, there's such a difference that our rumors, which are by and large nothing, substantiated on nothing, that people. What was that game in school we used to play? Telephone. You say something at the beginning of one class, by the beginning of the class, by the time it gets to the person at the other end of the room, it's a totally different story. What was that game? Maybe I'm making it up. Game telephone. It was such a game. So again, Ul is now coming to tell us this is not the rumor on the discussion over here. The rumor on the discussion over here has, okay, so let's deal with the rumor of Kiddushin. Let's deal with the rumor of Kiddushin. And recall, by weddings in those days, first of all, lights, a lot of candles. And second of all, people used to, when they eat on private little tables. They had little tables they would eat on, and they would incline, right? It was like it was very nice because you could eat without, socializing. So, I think it worked for many people. It says, it's not pshat they heard a coil of an echo. Stamas, they just heard some words in the street. Ella kidei sheyineres dalkais. They saw, in fact, the lights lit. Umitais maitzais, and they saw the beds made. Ubnei adam nichnasu v'yaitzin. They saw the cars double parked and people going in and out. You go down there's a Vart, and they get an address in Brooklyn. How do you know where the Vart is? Just look where all the double cars are parked. That's the mitigating circumstance. In other words, there's something more than just words, right? There's something more than just words. The Yoimrim, Ploinus miskadeshes hayoim. Ploinus will receive Kiddushin today. Mark my words. Ploinus miskadeshes, right? She will receive Kiddushin today. Miskadeshes, and that claim is good Kiddushin. No, stop. So stop. Miskadeshes the dil malaya katsha. Maybe maybe the chosin got cold feet. So you have circumstances leading up to the belief that there will be a Kiddushin, but unless you know for sure there was, that's not a rumor, guys. You hear? This is giving you an understanding of the kayaf of rumor. In other words, even if you have mitigating circumstances, but it wasn't substantiated, it's not a rumor. What's the case? It must be ema plainis niskacha hayoim. That plainis was mikudeshes today. So again, going back to our Mishnah, Yatzla Shma Be'ir, that she's mikudeshes, that we're going to be mikudeshes, is you saw the table set and the lights, and then you hear from other people that she was niskadeshes hayoim. So the rumor has support. It has a lot of proof to it based upon the candles and the other different things that will be present when a Kiddushin would take place. The Chen Tani Levi, Yishmu Kol Avara, and now he adds the Nashim Tabis La'or Haner. It doesn't say Nashim that are by the Lavana. It's interesting. She will be the same kasha. Papa, so both Ula and both Levi again tell us that in order for something to be a rumor, it has to have circumstances adding to it to be a rumor that we should be chayish for. Not that you just heard literally an echo, meaning just words passed down. And Amru Davar, Zehu Koil. Now, Amru Davar, right now, Amru Davar, that Ploinis was the Skatsha Hayoim. That's what you heard. That Ploinis was the Skatsha Hayoim. Zehu Koil. Lo Amru Davar, if they didn't say Ploinis wasn't the Skatchis, Amasla. Zehu Amasla. So let's get this straight, guys. Let's go through what we just said. You go ahead, you pass by a house, you see the lights lit, you see the bed's made, and a call goes out that playing this girl, this Kadesh Sayoim, that's great. But if you don't hear that she was this Kadesh Sayoim, that's an amasla. Now, when do you need an amasla? When there's a rumor. A masla is that there was a get on a tanai, there was a kedushin, suffolk kedushin. If there's no koil, there's no amasla. So Fred the Gemara, loy amru amasla. How could that be an amasla? There's nothing to break. Since no one ever said there was a kedushin, so of course there's not an amasla. So what do you mean it's an amasla? It doesn't make any sense. An amasla is when I have established koil, I need an amasla to break the koil. I need a tanai to break the get. I need a suffolk karav law to break kedushin. But over here, what are you telling me? That you saw everything, but you didn't hear that she was engaged? So what? That's an amasla? It's not an amasla. It's not a rumor. It's not a koil. And for the Gemara, no, that's not what's pshat over here. Lo yamru la, v'lo yamru la, v'lo klum. And for the Gemara, la fuke midirav Rav Chana. Dama amasla sha'amru. When we say that amasla, I feel mikana you join. You hear a girl got engaged on Sunday. 5 days later, right? 10 days later, you hear, but you know what? It was a Safi Kedushin. Then it's still an Amasla, despite the fact that what? That it wasn't stated with the koil. Even though the Amasla came later, the mitigating circumstance came later, it wasn't stated with the koil. Kemash malon loy omru, right? If they, loy omru means they did say the koil, but they said the koil without the Amasla. In other words, omru means that they said the Kedushin. Lo yomru means that they said the kedushin, but they didn't say the amasla. And if they didn't say the amasla, it's not going to work. Why? Because it has to be immediately. It can't be 10 days later. And that's what Rabbi Yochanan's comment to tell me. Then it says over here, if you look at Rashi for a second, Kamash Malan, Hadloi Amru Davar, Zeu Amasla. You know what that means? Vachi Kamar. Like Gomru Hadavar Lahaitzi Koil Mekuyim Mesuyim. It didn't complete the matter to make the koil a fait accompli. Elohaitzi shoiver ima koil, right? But you went ahead and said the shoiver with the koil kigoin. It's true. Niskasha ploinis besafik hudavi amasla. But aval amru dava mekuyim and loy amru, then you won't be able to say it later. So again, the lashon of the Gemara is a little funny, but here's the way Rabbi Yochanan's learning. Amru, if they said the amasla with the koil, so amasla. Loy amru, if they didn't say it, loy amru, they didn't say it at the same time, right? Then when it's not. Amrav Abba, Amrav Huna, Amarav. Loy sheshamu kol avara, ela kadei sheyomru ploini mehechin. Okay, Mehechen Shama, where'd you hear it from? Mi Pliny, Upliny, Mi Pliny. In other words, so again, we're playing the game of telephone. Uboikin Beholchin, and you continue tracing the trail of where this started. Achemegi and Ledava Habarer, until you get to Dava Habarer. What does Dava Habarer mean? Pashtus, it means Adim. Dava Habarer, Adis Malyasahi. So what do you mean? How can there be a call? El Kiyasar of Shmuel by Yehuda, Amrav Abba, Amrav Huna, Amarav, Lo Shesham Kol Havara, El Kadesh Yomru Ploini Mehechin Shama Ploini 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 V'Hocholem Medina Sayam, and they went overseas. Okay, so let's go over some of the things we've seen so far. We've seen a koil that the beds are made and the lights are lit. We saw a koil that the beds are made, the lights are lit, and the women are talking about it. And now we're telling me that a koil is, you trace it back to the source, and the source is not here anymore. It's easy to say that they're arguing on each other, but it's more mistaba to say that they're not arguing, and each one is saying a different component. If you look at Tosfos, guys, Rav Abba, who said this, probably does not argue on Ula Dila'el, who said the beds are made and the lights are lit. V'abraisa, the Levi, who spoke about what? About the women who were by the Arlavana. So guys, when you want to say a machlokes, how will we speak? Rabbi Omer, Amar Rav Abba, he would say different. It doesn't say vav. It's not connected to the previous. It's a brand new statement. Amar Ula, Amar Levi, Amar Rav Abba. So this is meduyik Tosfos that each one is saying a different shlav in rumor. Not that he's arguing what constitutes a rumor. He's saying this is what a rumor is. A rumor is this took place, people are talking about it, and you can trace it back. Okay. Now, if you trace it back to the source, why is it not more than a rumor? Is because the source is not here to go ahead and substantiate it, because they went to Medina Sayam. Okay, the next piece of Gemara, I'm not sure I understand it totally. I think I do, but I'm a little help. To be mevatel a koil, in order to be mevatel a koil, it would depend upon the standard of excellence we should give the koil. If the Eidim who started the koil were kasher, they went to Medina Sayam, and they're kasher guys, and they're very kasher guys, so we'll say it's really a koil. If they come back, the same people, and say lehoya v'le nivra, that it never transpired, then what? It makes sense to mevatel the koil. After all, they made it; they can stop it. They had koyach ne'emanis, and now they broke it. What's the problem with not being mevatel the koil? If the rumor goes out, we may say that, you know what? Maybe Bezdin was bought off. Maybe Bezdin is like hushing it under the table. And therefore, you know, mevatel the koil means that we don't act upon it. So the koil went out that she's engaged, forget about it, she's not engaged. Koil went megareshes, it's not megareshes. In other words, but there's a statement, guys, once there's smoke, there's fire, correct? There's a statement, once there's smoke, there's fire. So if you believe once there's smoke, there's fire, you're not going to be mevatel the koil, you're going to go ahead and continue to chase after it. So we have machlokes exactly whether you're mevatel the koil or not. Do we say, no, it's gone, and you don't have to go ahead and verify it any further or dismiss it? Or no, do we say once there's smoke, there's fire, and therefore we shouldn't be mevatel the koil, we should go ahead and take it into account? That's the sugya. Rabbi Yosef, mevatlin kala, says Rabbi Yosef, are you mevatel koil or not mevatel koil? So Amalei, with the Amar of Chista, yishmu mipi haksherim, that a koil is not a koil until you hear from the ksherim. Rashi says, look at Rashi, v'nei ksherim, sheyomru miploini shamanu, we heard from so and so, u'olach medina sayam, alma akil rabban ben Mosa, ushmamina di bedikna basa hachi, v'shtakich shikra mevatlina like umachrazina and the lav kolahu, and we'll call out there's nothing, no substance to it. We'll let her marry without a get from this person. But that's why I mean mevatlina kala. Since the source was kasha, with that source said it's shikra, we won't go ahead and require a get. That's the statement about that's what Rav Chista said. Amalei adarabba. So he said the opposite. In the Amar of Sheishes, Afilu mifnei nashim, even if you say the coil is passed down by woman, havi coil, it's still a coil. Women are not a very good source, not a very reliable source. It must be why Shmami no. One will believe woman that to pass along the coil, loy mevatlin color without checking into it further. In other words, we'll take into account perhaps there is something to it, and therefore we won't be mevatel it just like this. So Amalei asravasa ninu, right? Asravasa. There was asravasa ninu besura mevatla kala b'nadoi loy mevatla kala. There are mekoimos that are different in them in Hagim. So asravasa ninu. You want to know if you're mevatel kala or not mevatel kala? It depends on asravasa. It depends on where you are. This surah mevatlan kala b'nadoi loy mevatla kala. This surah, which was the place of Rav, they mevatel the coil. B'nadoi, which is the place of Shmuel, loy mevatla kala. There was a call that a person was Mekadesh, the Gersa, the Echem B'nei Yeshiva, the Barbe Rav, the Chosher person. Asir Rav Chama Lavua, Amalei, Emily Hechi Havi Ovda, Amalei, Al Tanai Kitsha, Adaita Delay Ozal Bechuzai. He was Mekadesh on Tanai, that he wouldn't go to the place Bechuzai. However, Va'azal, he went there. Amalei, Kimin de Be'idna de Havikala, Lehave amasla, lav kol kaminach b'nechesas amasla. Right? Since at the time where the coal went out, lehave amasla, the masla wasn't there. Lav kol kaminach b'nechesas amasla. We said earlier that we had machloikis that a masla could be up to 10 days. Rabbi Yochanan said no. So over here we're going to say, look at Taisus, list Taisus. Lishna mash, even that it didn't have a kol lehave amasla. Lishna mash with the soul Rabbi Yochanan. He agrees with Rabbi Yochanan that the masla has to be right away, and he argues on Rabbi Rav Huna that it could be even up to 10 days. In other words, right now you said kedushin. Now you're coming up with the masla that was on a condition. Since the condition wasn't stated at the time of the rumor, therefore we're going to disallow the masla, and we'll go ahead and have to be chayish for the rumor. We'll be chayish for the kedushin. Another case. He did nothing Allah kala the katsha ba'atzipi the tochla be'eno de be'shifi. A call went out that a certain person was makadosh and isha using a pit that had adhering to it a piece of fruit. Rashi brings out there were dates that were not ripe, and they would never ripen. They would put them in baskets, and if you would go ahead and separate the pit from the date, you'd have a little fruit connected to the date. And the man was Mekadesh with this. And he's Mekadesh at a spring called the Beishifi. Sholcha Ravidi Barov and the Kameda Abaya. Ki I gav Namai, what's the din? In other words, are we chayish for the room or not? So Amalei, I feel man the Amma, Loima Mivatlin and Kala, even the Kuntam and the Amma, of Sheshis who says you're not Mivatel a coil. Because guys, what are we chayish for? We're chayish that maybe the Chacham just did away with it. Over here we'll say it's not a coil. Meima Omar, people will say, Eino Ainu by Rabbanan, the Rabbanan looked into it, Bikedush Secha, Havi Bu Shava Pruta, and it wasn't a Shava Pruta. Again, if the whole chash of Eim of Aman Koila is because the Chacham will look the other way, when we don't have the svara of the Chacham looking the other way, then we will mevatel it. Over here, since the rumor was he was Mekadesh using this piece of nothing, right? Think about it. You take a peach and you have a little piece of peach left over in the crevice of the pit. So since he's Mekadesh with that, no person's going to say that the Chacham swept it under the carpet, and they're going to say, "Wow, it's not a good kedushin," simply because they know the reason. So once we know a reason, then mevatlin and kolo mevatel koil. Ahud nafla kolo. There was again more cases of this. Ahud nafla kolo. There was a coil that went out. The coil went out that Ikadish L'chad Mibnei Planya, that was Mekadesh from one of the sons of family, but we didn't know which of the sons who accepted Kedushin. Amar Rav, Afil Man Amar Loy Mevatlin L'Kala, even according to Man Yama, we're not Mevatel L'Kol, right? What? Good, because again, saying that maybe there was something to it. But Mevatlin L'Kala, over here we will Mevatel it. Because Meima Omar will say, Aina Barabanan B'Kedusha, they looked into Kedusha and the kids to Katan Havi. One of the children was Kedusha. In other words, again, the same svara. Once the people realize the Chachamim have a real reason for the Mevatel Kedushin, we're not worried about a Mevatel in the Sekoila because of a laws that'll go out. We'll say that no, everything was on the up and up. And the reason why they were Mevatel the Kedushin, because there never was a Kedushin, because there was Kedusha Katan. Ahid the Nafka Allah Kol, another example of a Kol went out, the Akadsha the Katan, Hanir Kagadol. You have some guys who are big. You go to a bar mitzvah, you see a kid that's a pint size, and you see his friend standing next to him is a foot taller than him. And he has mutton chop sideburns, and anyway, so you have such people. So this is a cotton, you appear like a gadol. So I'm going to Mordechai, I guess mutton chop sideburns wouldn't be good because then he would say saris. So I'm going to Mordechai Ravashi, Havi Uvda, there was a case, and they were mevatel it. Amru Dayan Le'igia, the Palgas Ruven Shenemar, the Flagas Ruven Gedolim. This is a pasuk in Chikrei Lev. This is a pasuk in Shiras Devorah, where the Devorah is giving Techacha for Ruven that before they came to join the battle against Sisra, they were on the fence. So Chikrei Lev, they were delving into it. So over here, using the pasuk Chikrei Lev, that they're going to say the Chachamim were mevatel the Kedushin without Chikrei Lev, without what? Without looking into it. Amar Rabba Barafuna, Amasla Sha'amru, Afil Mikan Va'esru Yom. We saw this in an Aleph, right? This is Rabba Rafuna that Rabbi Yochanan disagreed with. Amasla would exist even up to 10 days. Rav Zvid Amar, Rav Zvid says a big chiddush. The Mokam Amasla, Chayshishin Amasla. And in place of an Amasla, we're Chayish for an Amasla. In other words, even if you didn't hear the Amasla, if there's a grounds for the Amasla, we'll say it. Look at Rashi, fellas. A few lines down we get stayed. B'makam amasla cheshen lamasla. Afilu in amasla elamokain upesach yesh ledavar. Even in other words, there's a place to say it. Shenucha lilmid sham amasla, that we can go ahead and attribute it to the amasla. Then cheshen we chayish for the amasla to destroy the coil. Shema amasla ploinis yesh ledavar v'hakoil batal. So says Rav Zvid, you don't even have to hear the amasla, even if there's a reason to suspect there was an amasla, we will suspect that amasla. Again, guys, this is a koil ba'alma. This is not edus. This is a koil ba'alma. Okay. So we have two shittas. We have the shitta of Huna 10 days. Rav Zvid says what? Amasla, cheshen amasla. Rav Papa, Rav Zvid. It doesn't seem to be a machlokes. It seems to be two separate shittas. Rav Papa, Rav Zvid who says that what? You can create if there's a grounds for the amasla, we'll keep it. Right? Our Mishnah said there has to be the amasla, not that there's a makon to say the amasla. It has to be that there is an amasla. So Rav Zvid told her Papa, the makon amasla come out. It doesn't mean there is an amasla, but the Mishnah means there's a place to state the amasla. Omer Rav Kahana Rav Papa, va'atle tizbra, says Rav Kahana to Rav Papa to how can you not agree with Rav Chista with Rav Zvid? How can you not agree with Rav Zvid that b'makam amasla we don't say amasla? I'll show you that now we have a Mishnah. Okay. We know that when it comes to Edis Isha, that a husband died, we're makel and we believe women. Right? The Mishnah, we did the sugis at the end of Yevamis. So rumor comes back that the guy died in Niskatsha. She accepts kedushin from another man. Niskatsha, she accepts kedushin from another man. The achakach ba baila, and then her husband comes back. Mutalachzar, she can go back to the first husband, because we'll say what? That the kedushin to the second husband wasn't a kedushin since the first one was still alive. La mishum daminon al tanai kaddish. Don't we say that she accepted the kedushin on the tanai that what? That the husband is not going to go ahead what and come back. So we do state the amasla, even though it wasn't stated. So says Rav Kahana to Rav Papa to substantiate Rav Zvid. Why are you questioning? We see over here she's able to go back to the original husband, right? Why? Because we say in amasla that she must have said, "I'm marrying him on a condition." It says, "When shiny hasa, the asa baal, the kama arer," right? The Baal is coming and he's being ma'arer, and clearly the kedushin of the second Baal was not chal. In other words, it's not because of the masla about anything she said or the rumor, right? It's because he's here and he's saying, I never died. If he never died and she only accepted kedushin, that she was never married, guys, an Ashes Ish can never become Mikudeshes to another man. If this girl's husband was still alive, she accepted Kedushin for the other man. Guys, important, she didn't live with the other man yet. She just accepted Kedushin. So the reason why we let her go back to the original husband has nothing to do with a masla and saying, oh, the coil went out and the masla is breaking the coil, and she was never married to the second guy. She's never married to the second guy because the husband was alive and saying, here I am. Right? The Gemara, great kasha, guys. What was our Mishnah in Kiddush in Yavamis? What happens if she would marry the second guy? What happens if she had children with the second guy? We said she is what we said in Yiddish, oif gehakta tsaris. Ketzi mizeh, ein kesuba, vlad mamza, she is gehakta tsaris. Now, 1 second. If the guy's showing up, doesn't it state clearly that the second marriage wasn't a marriage? Right? Doesn't state clearly that the second marriage wasn't a marriage. If the second marriage wasn't a marriage, so the children might be Mamzerim, but why Tetzi Mizeh? Says the Gemara, Yihachi, Nisis Nami, right? Nisis Nami, why don't we say if she went ahead, right, and she married this other fellow, Nisis Nami, she married this other fellow, she should be mutter to go back to the first husband, right? In other words, it's clearly we understand why she leaves the second husband, right? Clearly we understand why the children are mamzerim. We're not questioning that. The children are mamzerim because she's an Ashes Ish. She leaves the second husband because she's an Ashes Ish. But why can't she go back to the first husband? She was never married to the second guy. Says the Gemara, you're right. Says the Gemara, you're right. However, you know what? Since the Gemara says Nisas of the surah, where she did the Issa, she had relations with the second husband who was not a husband, Kansur Rabbana. Niskacha, accepting Kedushin from the second husband, the loy of the surah, because they never lived together as man and wife yet, loy Kansur Rabbana, the Rabbana did not what? And Kansa. Good? That so far we're good. Amravashi, Kol Kolad lo Yischazik V'Veidina, any coil that was not checked out afterwards by Bezdin, any call that was not checked out, right? We saw by Bezdin is what lav kolo. It's not a call. Ravashi kol kolo debas in the suin. This we saw in the Yom Aleph. Any call that takes place after the suin, loichashinan la habasa erisin mashma. If it takes place after erisin, chashinan la you will be chayish. Even after erisin, we won't be chayish for the coil. The Hilchas of the Halacha is loichashinan. We're not chayish for a kol. In other words, once she's a cheskas eishes ish, there's erisin, there's nesuin. We're not chayish for the koil. That's what we said in the Aleph, guys. Rav Yomi Barabba sholchu leimi the beis medrash of Rav Shmuel, from Rav to Shmuel Yilamdeinu Rabbeinu Yatzala koil b'mei rishain that she accepted kedushin from Ruvain u'boacha b'kitsha kedushay Torah, and now Shimon is Makadisha with Edim. Mahu. Sholchuluhu Teitze. She leaves. Question, who does she leave? Does she leave the coil of Ruvain or does she leave the Vaidai relationship of Shimon? That Midu Adav al Boryov, and check into the matter. Okay, now Voidianu and tell us. So a very vague statement. Who's leaving and what are you checking into? So what does it say? My Midu Dav al Boryov. What did he mean? What does Shmuel mean by that? So if the first one turned out to be a rumor and only a rumor, and she wasn't married to Ruvain, and Kala, right? And she would not go ahead, mevatel the coil, and she would not have to leave Shimon. Ivan Adoi Asrei, this was the place of Nardoi, and this is the place of Shmuel, who Veloy Madvil and Kala, you're not mevatel the coil. So that can't be that you mevatel the coil and she could stay with Ruvain. Ella with Shimon, Ella the Megalian Mulsa, that the Adis, the Kedusha Kame Kedushim Alien, you know that Ruben's Kedushin, but Tzricha get Misheni, she's not going to need a get from Shimon because she was never married to Shimon. Who pleaded Rav Huna, and Shmuel would argue Rav Huna. Dam Rav Huna says, Ashes Ish, Shepashta yada v'kibla kedushin me'acha v'kudeshes. So Eishes ish that accepts kedushin from another man is v'kudeshes, and she need a get from him. Why would that be? Why would that be? Aishes neshes ish. It's Rav Nuna. Dam Rav Nuna. Aisha she'amar lebayla geirashtani. A woman says that you divorced me. Ne'menes. Chazaka inisha me'iza panel if they baila. So therefore, if you have a chazaka that a woman won't be me'ez panel if they baila, it must be if she accepted kedushin from the second person that she had a divorce. So therefore, now Shmuel clearly disagrees with Rav Huna. He disagrees with Rav Huna. Rav Huna is saying that what? That you would need a get from the second one. According to Shmuel, you would not need. Now, what about Shmuel and Rav Huna? That if a woman says, if she's believed to say Gerishtani, I was divorced, and therefore I can accept kedushin from the second husband, does Shmuel agree with that or disagree with that? Now he could. Rav Huna is an Amoira, but in fact Shmuel does agree with that. The idach, what is Shmuel? When the Rav Huna say is din, b'fanav. B'fun of him, a woman, b'fun of the husband's not going to tell him to his face, you divorced me and I married. So ein isha me'isa b'fanav. Shalai b'fanav, it's not b'fanav, me'isa shall die, shall lie. And therefore what? We don't have to believe her, and therefore we can accept kedushin. So in other words, he agrees with Rav Nuna, b'fanav, but shalai b'fanav, she will lie. Okay, says the Gemara, lei matzah dava al boryav. If it doesn't become clear, mahu. Shmuel said before Teitzei, right? And Teitzei means from a Rishon or a Sheni, we didn't know. And Amar Rav Huna, Migarish Rishon v'nois Sheni. She leaves the first one and she can marry the second one. Aval Migarish Sheni v'nois Rishon loy. My timer. So now we're trying to figure out, when he said the word Teitzei before, who's she leaving from? So again, there's a Karl on Ruvain and there's a Vadai Kedushin on Shimon. So Amar Rav Huna, Migarish Rishon, she divorces Ruvain v'nois Shimon if she wants to. Aval Migarish Sheni v'nois Rishon loy. My timer. You might think that what? It's possible that if a man marries a woman from Erisin, you could take her back, so therefore you don't go back to the first husband. Rav Shimon Rav Rav Idi Amar, or Rav Simon Rav Idi Amar, she can divorce the second husband and go back to the first husband. Meima Amar, in Yani Rabbanim, the Kedusha Sheni, they looked in the Kedusha Sheni, the Kedusha Toys, it was Kedusha Toys because she was still married to Ruvain. Yatzal Koy Mizeh Mizeh. The Kol goes out of Kedusha Rishon, Kedusha Sheni, that she was married to this one, Mahu. Rav Papa, after this Isha Megureshes Marisha and Menaisa Sheni, she still can go ahead, she divorced from moving and marry Sheni. Amema Omer says Mutaros L'Shneim, she's mutter to either one of them. Amin Aleph, the Hilchasa Mutaros L'Shneim, she's mutter to either one of them. So basically, we have an idea of what a rumor is Minatayra. A rumor is something that's contingent upon what? Upon substantiated evidence, and that's Tamasai. Whether you're Mevatel Kol, not Mevatel Kol, depends on locale, Rav Shmuel. But it's time to be chayish, right? Anything behind it, we're not going to be chayish for rumors. I wish everyone a great day.